So in today's video, I wanted to introduce you to Mama Jean's property. This is Mama Jean. She is a senior in her late 90s. Some definitely mobility issues, mitigated her maintenance down to the point where we have 2 flower beds. This is the entrance that they use the most to come and go. This entrance or this one over here, I don't know. This is only the second time I've been here. So what I've done is I've weeded these 2 flower beds. So these 2 flower beds are the only ones that are left on the entire property. And when I met with Mama Jean and her daughter, who herself is getting ready to retire. So when you start thinking of who is maintaining these flower beds, it's really just family members are helping this out. And if their passion isn't plants and they're getting older, they're retiring themselves, you know, you get tendonitis in your shoulder and now all of a sudden crouching down on your hands and knees pulling weeds, now that's no longer a possibility. So what do? And the great thing about it is they reached out to me. I said, absolutely, I would be willing to help. Here's my stipulations. I'm gonna do it for free. I need to come and go as I please. I won't bother anybody. I mean, you see the street is right here. There's a man-mobile right there. It's easy for me to just pull up and weed some flower beds. And like I said, the main source of contention is they wanted to pay me. And I said, under no circumstances I'm gonna charge you for 20 minutes worth of work. Good content for my viewers. I should be paying you, especially how good doing projects like this makes me feel. I came in and I weeded the flower beds. Heavy bindweed infestation. And it did cause some problems when I'm pulling the bindweed. Let me tell you my thing with bindweed. I don't use a selective herbicide on perennial beds unless I know for a fact that the only thing I'm really gonna have issues with is Bermuda grass. There's some selective herbicides out there that can handle some things, but they hurt other things. When it comes to bindweed, I know I could go in there with a little paintbrush and I could paint on Roundup. It's just faster for me to pull it. Bindweed is easy to pull. The problem is it's perennial and it spreads underneath the ground and via seed, but mostly it's underneath the ground. For me, my secret to bindweed is I just want to track it down to where it's entering the ground and try to get as much of it as I can. The main issue with that is it has 10 feet of roots sometimes underneath the ground. So you're not gonna get it all. You know, this year we might get some more bindweed in there. I'm just gonna kind of stay on top of it, try to come by here once a week and just see what's going on with the bed, put a little bit more mulch down, but I don't need all the mulch that her daughter brought. I don't need all that. There's a lot of mulch in here. And to tell you the truth, we just did a mulch video that is doing really well. Kind of there's a movement in the industry where people are just wanting living mulch, they're not wanting regular mulch, and I think that's fine, do you boo? That's what I say. This situation would be, there's probably too much mulch here, but I've still got patches of bare soil, and without going in here and taking all the mulch out and then reapplying it, which I'm not gonna do because that's a waste of everybody's time and energy. I'm just gonna kind of spread it out as good as I could, which I was doing when I was weeding it. But now I'm exposing soil, but I'm also putting down a pre-emergent. So I think I could get away with no more mulch in this area. Someone's probably gonna mention there's violets all over the place. I don't mess with violets. Violets have never offended me being in a garden space. I've never had violets, and I'm sure somebody's gonna tell me that they have, but I've never had violets impede anything. They're kind of easy to just kind of step on and just move around. But I do like that they kind of help maintain a mycelial network. I feed well enough that they're not pulling a lot of energy out of my flower beds. And so when it comes to hostas, I think they're a good companion. I have had flower beds where I've gone in and I've sprayed with a selective herbicide all of the Pachysandra and all of the violets just to try to get rid of them because they had completely taken over a bed. But when I did that, guess what? We went and planted ground cover in there again, right? So it was like they were doing their job. They were just, you know, they weren't what the customer wanted. So that's not necessarily the situation we're in. It just didn't look clean with all of the bindweed all over the place. So what I would like to do is we're not gonna put weed barrier down, because if I was going to ethically put weed barrier down, I would take all of this mulch out, I would level the soil, I would probably lose a lot of plants in the process. I would have to dig everything up, put it back, you know, with some symmetry. That way I can poke holes in the weed barrier. It's just a lot of work for no reason. The real major issue that we had in this flower bed was the bindweed. And bindweed, like I said, is relatively easy to pull up. I don't have an issue with it. You can get on top of bindweed, you just have to get on top of bindweed, right? So it's like there's nothing in between you and a successful space other than like motivation and opportunity. I mean, there it is, right? If you have those two things, then you can get on top of bindweed. You could also, you know, cut bindweed and then apply like a Quick Pro or something like that, round up some sort of glyphosate, because it does do a good job on bindweed. The problem is bindweed is usually bound to something like this hydrangea, which you can see in the video, the before video, this was completely covered. And this isn't going to be a great before and after. This isn't going to be a grand gesture. This is just a gesture. I'm going to help somebody that needs my help. And that's what I do. I do plants. I don't do string theory or quadratic equations. That's it. I don't do theoretical physics. I do plants. I do soil. I love those things. So that's what I'm passionate about. That's how I can help back. I'm not a carpenter. I can't tell you how to fix a little crack in the mortar. None of that stuff. I don't do any of that stuff. I do plants. As the channel ages, as the channel grows into its maturity, we start generating more income for the channel. Maybe we can do more stuff like that. But as it stands right now, we're doing plants. That's what this channel is going to be. This isn't rescue, this is landscape rescue. So we're going to do landscape rescuing. So you'll see, I don't think I'm going to need very much. Maybe I'm going to use a bag. I definitely, in places where there is no plants, I am going to put the mulch down kind of heavy, and then we're going to water really good. So we're watering in our pre-emergent. This time I'm using Snapshot. That's typically what I use. It's kind of the pro level pre-emergent that I've always used when I can afford to use it. It needs to be watered in, so I'm going to water it in. These hydrangeas don't look fantastic. They look okay. They're in the shade and they're wilting, so it makes me think that in this flower bed, water retention isn't our issue. It's water. You can't retain moisture that's not there. So when you're going through a baby drought like we're going through now, where we're getting some moisture but we're not getting a whole lot of it, it's not a long-lasting storm like some summers just have storms all summer long. That's not what we're dealing with right now. So I think a matter of just coming in here and watering, I think that's going to do a lot for them. And then once a week when I come by to just check, maybe I'll water. So it'll be pretty good. But putting a pre-emergent down, Snapshot lasts 4 to 6 months, just kind of depending on how long. I'm a fan of doing it every 3 months, but that's just because I mean, you just don't know what the weather's going to do as far as the amount of rainwater. So I say this bed is good. I'm not going to trim back the hostas, which with this many dead leaves in the hostas, I might want to just kind of cut them back and start them from scratch and get some young, beautiful leaves on here. I don't think we have enough year left for that. I'm also not going to spend the time to go in there and just kind of trim them back, because I think they're only going to be above ground for another month, and so maybe a month and a half. Depending on when our first frost is, our first frost can typically hit us first thing in October or mid-October. So I'm thinking, okay, we're a month away from these hostas going back into the ground. Then next spring, if we want to kind of move stuff around, we want to cull things out a little bit, we're going to be able to do that. Maybe Mrs. Sharon, when stuff starts popping up and those hostas start looking better, and I'm thinking, okay, I can separate this hosta at Mama Jean's house, divide that, kind of space that particular hosta out a little bit. Hey, I've got 2 little clumps left, and go over to Miss Sharon's. No one's going to complain about that, because really it's about Mrs. Mama Jean feeling good about the space. And obviously when I put stuff back, I'm going to use 2-year fertilizer tablets, which will help a bunch. Some of these plants have been gifts. So I think it's really nice to be able to just kind of take care of what she's got. We're not going to add anything to it unless I really see something at Lowe's and I'm just like, oh, that'd look great at Mama Jean's house. But really, I'm going to honor the reason I'm here, which is just kind of to help her. Adding flower beds all around all of the railings and things like that. She has a very big house. There's no real space where she can look out the window and gaze longingly into a flower bed that I built just for her. That's not where we're at now at this point. So we're not going to do anything like that. We're just going to help her while we're here, just kind of weed this bed and then just kind of maintain just these 2 little small beds for her. And I don't think it's not a super grand gesture, but it's a gesture. It's not going to take a lot of time for me to do it. So I'm just going to do it. I really had a good time being able to create content like this for you guys. So I appreciate all of the supporters, everybody that's joined the channel. And also, everybody that watches the channel. You guys are kind of the reason that that I spend so much time on YouTube, is because of you guys. I would still be doing this stuff, but I wouldn't probably be filming it. So, all right. Thank you very much. My name is Stuart Moore, and this is Landscape Rescue. So thank you very much for letting me into your home talk about plants.